Thanks for listening to Curious Cat, where we explore the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. I'm your host, Jennifer Holtz. Join me every week to examine what it means to be a soul in a meat suit. Welcome to Curious Cat. Late last night, a well-meaning and wonderful neighbor of ours sent us security footage of two guys that were walking around the corner of our property. They were shining a flashlight onto this concrete wall and talking with each other. They went around the house again, and if it'd been just that, I'd have assumed they were looking for a lost cat. But one of them flashed his light on our dome-shaped security camera, and they quickly left the corner. Then they left the block altogether. We paused HULU, thanked the neighbor, and then spent the next half hour checking windows, door locks, turning on outside lights, recharging Ring cameras, that kind of thing. And by the time I was in bed, I needed a palate cleanser, something that wasn't fear-driven. I turned on an episode of Better Call Saul, and in it, a character with a young granddaughter, he's spending the night on their hideaway sofa with a gun on his chest, I think, to keep them safe. I fell asleep dreaming about Pop Pop being on my sofa downstairs, monitoring us throughout the night. So why am I sharing all this? Because I had two drafts, episodes in the hopper that I am ready to record, but neither is screaming to be recorded and published. And when that happens, I know the angels and guides have something else planned for me this week. Either a person I've reached out to for an interview is going to have an opening in their schedule, or an episode will craft itself. And this is the latter. Someone somewhere needs to feel safe, and I hope this episode gives them the ways to shape their days to be both safe and sane. Western society is an intuition snob. I'll explain. Author and security expert Gavin DeBecker, in his book, The Gift of Fear, says, quote, "You have the gift of a brilliant internal guardian that stands ready to warn you of hazards and guide you through risky situations. So what's the problem? Well, we are snobs when it comes to intuition," DeBecker says. Americans worship logic, quote, "even when it's wrong, and deny intuition, even when it's right. Intuition connects us to the natural world and to our very nature. Freed from the bonds of judgment, married only to perception, it carries us to predictions we will later marvel at. Somehow I knew, we say, but when we take time to reflect backward, we see that our intuition connected dots before our brain had the chance to process and put meat on the logic bones." He said of his work, "I'll be much praised for my skill most often, but I just listen and give them," his clients, "permission to listen to themselves." Listen to yourself again. I have to highlight that part. Listen to yourself again. Nature's greatest accomplishment, the human brain, is never more efficient or invested than when its host is at risk. Then intuition is catapulted to another level entirely, a height at which it can accurately be called graceful, even miraculous. Intuition is the journey from A to Z without stopping at any of the other letters along the way. It is knowing without knowing why yet. DeBecker reminds us that intuition is always right in two ways. It is always in response to something, and it always has your best interest at heart. DeBecker's book was written 2 decades ago, but it's an incredible read that stands up to time. 2 tips I found invaluable. 1, if you need the help of a stranger, pick someone out yourself, because the odds are it'd be mathematically impossible for you to pick a serial killer, but more possible for them to pick you. Also, choose a woman, because most violent crime is committed by men. Number 2, in most instances, if you say no and someone does not listen, then ask yourself, why are they attempting to control me? These 2 tidbits saved me from 2 situations that I shared in season 1, but I still think about them that might have ended in violence if I hadn't listened to my intuition. Oh, by the way, I am taking a master course from Gavin DeBecker that he's offering free, and he has it on his website, and I've got the links in the show notes. Okay, and it's riddled with gold nuggets that I literally want to repeat the whole thing on my podcast, but I'm not going to. I really encourage you to at least watch the first 4 classes because it's pretty incredible. But one of the nuggets early on is, and this is powerful, intuition sends fear when it does not want to negotiate. Okay, I thought that was amazing. The second one is, and this is for all the women out there, because we know that we've been called the B word when we have stood up or said no to something. And he says to take that word and make it, boys, I'm taking control here. And I thought that was perfect. It's a great way to confirm that you are on the right track. And the third thing that he has that I am trying to modify my behavior in the real time is he says, don't give away free smiles. He said that is one of those things. And he was talking to, that wonderful actress from Parks and Rec. You would know her. I'm totally blanking on her name, but they were having a conversation and she was saying that she is learning to withhold her smile. And he goes into a deep dive in the class with her about why smiling as a default for women, it's an invitation for relationship. And that is not what you mean when you smile. So let go of those societal expectations. He said he's never met a victim that was prevented another victim situation by being nicer or smiling more. It just doesn't exist. And actually, nice gets in the way of a lot of these more animalistic kind of basic instincts that we should be listening to in situations where fear arises and we need to just simply react and not worry about being rude. But I also wanted to return to those 2 instances in my life where I felt like that my intuition saved my bacon. And I'll just do a quick summary if you've already listened to season 1, or if you haven't, no judgment. It doesn't matter. So one of those times I was on this very isolated path in Northern California when a man was interrupted my run, and my dog Journey, who is very calm and cool, sweet, and I've never heard him actually growl up to that point. He savagely started barking at this guy when the man came in front of me and then slow tumbled off of his bike. I mean, it felt intentional. I felt rude, but taking Journey's cue, I knew this person intended to harm me. He asked for a hand up and he held his hand out to me, and I refused, saying that I had to keep moving or else my dog was going to bite him or attack him. So I ran fast, powerfully. I ran off fast and I ducked behind a stand of trees when I was around a corner. And that's where I watched the guy just get off the ground, no problem, get on his bike, and he rode back to the parking lot where he loaded it into a vehicle, like a creepy white van that he had in the parking lot. So he was doing like a Ted Bundy, I felt like. The second time was when I was working in a skyscraper in downtown Seattle. I'd been working super late on a proposal and I was alone, working alone, and I zipped out of the office to get a bite of dinner. And when I returned to the building, the place was mostly empty. The elevator opened and a broad man stood there holding the door open. And I was about to step inside and he said, "Are you afraid to ride up with a man alone?" And I stepped backward. And he said, "Are you scared?" He continued. He was like goading me, holding the door open. He was challenging me to ignore my intuition, which was telling me this is really weird. I stood and I looked him in the eye and I said, "I'll wait for the next one." And being in a noise-proof metal box with a man in a mostly empty skyscraper seemed like a dangerous idea. My intuition knew that right away, but my nice girl, my people pleaser, was kind of like, it was tortured in that moment. But his reaction to try and bait me into ignoring my inner spidey sense only confirmed my hunch. And chances are, I would have been fine in both those situations. But then again, maybe I wouldn't have. I still remember them like as if they were yesterday, which tells me I was right and my intuition saved me. So let's cross the threshold and talk about keeping safe and sound at home. In the spirit of taming anxieties, what do you think is the leading cause of death or accidents in the home? What comes to mind? Is there another cause that crossed your mind as well? So if bad guys breaking into your place was in the top 5, no. The leading cause by far, I'm talking like 88 to 92% or higher, depending on the age group, but across all states, is poisoning. The runner-up is falling. Neither of those are caused by outsiders, and both can be prevented with some very simple protocols. So first up, poisonings. Keep all your medications in unreachable cabinets, away from children and pets. Second, keep cleaning supplies in a secure location. Third, make sure you have a good carbon monoxide detector in the main living spaces and each of the bedrooms at a minimum. Carbon monoxide is the silent killer. And after what I went through with the recent passing of a family member, I'd also in love like to encourage all of us to bring all those expired or partially used or unused medicines that you never intend to use to either a local safe drop spot or the local police station so they don't end up being the cause of an accidental overdose. You can Google your nearest drop spot, and most ask that you cross out any personal information on that label with a permanent marker. So it's super fast and easy. Phew, okay. Poisoning, that was the big one. Next up, falling. So most falls occur in the bathrooms or on stairs. Makes sense. The quickest ways to prevent falls in those spaces are to place non-slip strips on stairs and no-slip mats in the bathroom. Also, I'm a bullheaded little worker bee, so I'm going to make a confession. And I'm saying this out loud as much for myself as for you and yours. Do not do work on a ladder without someone to spot you. I can get so wrapped up in a task like changing light bulbs or repainting a room if it's on my to-do list that I don't give using a ladder the care and caution that it merits. If I get anxious about finishing a job, but no one is home to spot me on the ladder, I tell myself, is this bulb worth falling and breaking a bone or worse? And that usually does the trick. I back off and I set the work aside until someone's free to help me. Finally, in the home arena, and I realize this could fall under the cyber safety section, but I don't want it to get lost there. If you are into selling your stuff on Facebook Marketplace or another similar way, then do not have the buyer meet you at your home. Take a cue from my daughter's partner, Josh, and if you are the seller, you pick the point of sale, not the buyer. Sometimes they'll even contact you and say, I need to change the spot or whatever. And you say as the seller, absolutely not. I get to make the rules. 2, never sell from your home. And 3, banks in daylight are great places to meet a buyer, that or in the middle of a shopping mall, because there are lots of cameras, lots of people, lots of lighting. So there's serious surveillance, which favors a safe and sound transaction. A comedian I was listening to on TikTok said he found out his wife was selling stuff out of their house on Facebook Marketplace. And he said, best case scenario, she ends up selling a crappy chair and getting $5. Worst case scenario, we're all murdered. So it's funny, but it's a reminder not to invite strangers to your place to do money transactions. Okay, one final tip on home safety is kill your inner polite elephant. And what I mean by that is nice doesn't get you anywhere when it comes to personal safety. If someone knocks at your door, you are not obliged to answer. If it's a friend or a family member, they'll call or text you that they're there. Opening a door, especially if you're alone and especially in the evening, as soon as that door's cracked open, someone can place their foot in the jamb and they can enter your home. You lose control of your home. I can't tell you the number of times we told my mother-in-law, my tiny, precious mother-in-law, not to answer her door. She was teeny and she lived alone. The only comfort we had was the 3 Rottweilers that stood behind her, snarling at the strangers on that welcome mat. We're going to take a super quick break, and when we return, we're going to go into food safe and sound.
If you haven't heard yet, the Homewrecker Podcast isn't your typical podcast.
Join us, Alex,
and Monique,
as we discuss a wide range of topics.
Like spiritual healing, privacy, ghosts, conspiracy theories, health, self-sufficiency, aliens, and pretty much anything else we want.
Ghosts? Conspiracy theories? Who believes in that stuff?
We do.
Allegedly.
Supposedly.
In theory. So listen to us and subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, Google Play, or anywhere else you enjoy your podcasts.
Help us wreck and shatter conventional wisdom and ways of thinking while having some fun in the process.
Hey, that's my line.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, Karen Rontowski here. I hate to interrupt the Curious Cat podcast, one of my favorites, but if you want to double your paranormal fun when you're done here, come check out my show, Paranormal Karen. I interview exorcists, demonologists, healers, psychics, really anyone that can make a family gathering uncomfortable is on my show. If you want to see everything I do, go to KarenRontowski.com. And I know you're thinking, that sounds hard to spell. Well, it is. I have misspelled it on hundreds of tax forms. So if that doesn't work for you, go to PsychicStandup.com or ParanormalKaren.com. There you can find my Patreon, you can book a tarot reading, you can take a tarot class, you can find everything, including my stand-up comedy clips. That's right, I've been doing stand-up for 30 years. If you go to those places, you can also see my psychic stand-up show where I mix psychic and tarot readings. Yes, the future never looked so funny. So check me out at KarenRontowski.com, ParanormalKaren.com, or PsychicStandup.com. And can someone please find me a marketing person to put all this in one place? Now back to the show.
All right, welcome back. So let's dive into food safety, food handling 101. In order to handle food for this Boosters concession stand, I had to earn my Washington State food handler's permit a couple years back. And here's a basic review. Wash your hands before, during, and after handling food. Do not share a cutting surface for raw meats and vegetable or fruits. Spray surfaces used for meat or poultry prep with bleach water. Cross-contamination with chicken in particular is a huge food poisoning culprit. Check the internal temperature of meats or poultry. Don't use the eyeball test or poke it and go, oh, that feels like medium well. Really use a kitchen thermometer. Get it right. And when cooling huge batches of food, like chili enough for a whole football team, cooling can be a bacteria playground. Place the batch in smaller vessels and get them in the fridge to cool faster. Also, when you're grocery shopping, great job using your reusable grocery bags, but be sure to wash them every now and again. Turn them inside out and run them on delicate in your washing machine, and then let them air dry. There's a big controversy about tossing out expired foods, and from Real Simple, they say not so fast. Depending on where you live, you may see different dates on your food, and each has a different purpose. So here's a bit of clarity based on information from the Institute of Food Technologists and FSIS that label best if used by or before. This is a quality assurance date and serves as a suggestion for when the taste and quality of food are at their peak. It's not a purchase or safety date. Use by, this is the suggested date by when you should eat the food, but just because it's a day or two past the use by date does not necessarily mean that consuming it will make you sick, although you should evaluate the quality of the food yourself after this time. It's not a safety date except when used on infant formula. Then it is the gospel. Then the label sell by. This is not a safety date, but rather a date for retailers that helps them determine how long an item should remain on the shelf. According to the IFT, 1/3 of a product's shelf life remains after the sell by date for the consumer to use at home. Freeze by. According to the USDA, this date indicates when a product should be frozen to maintain peak quality. It's not a purchase or safety date. A friend of the show, Chef Molly, adds that certain foods, once opened, even if they are refrigerated, only have a certain period of time that they remain safe to consume. That blew my mind. Let's take mayo, for example, and this information is readily available with a quick Google search. So if you have any questions about anything in your refrigerator, just Google it. Mayo, once opened, for example, is good for 2 months, though if it smells off or the color is odd, toss it out. Have you ever heard the saying, when in doubt, toss it out? Other examples of foods that can spoil in the fridge are eggs, though if you hard-boiled eggs that are a few days past the expiration dates, you can consume them that way, which also saves on food waste. Chef Molly keeps a Sharpie pen proximate to the fridge so that she can mark the dates on containers that things were opened or saved on the outside, because our memories can be flawed and the Sharpie tag will never lie to us. So she said there are also green bags available on Amazon.com that extend the life of produce and fresh cut flowers. They are called Debbie Meyer green bags, which have been lab tested even. I've put a link to them in the show notes. This is kind of the ongoing theme to this area. Air is food's enemy. Seal food when you open, say, a box of cereal or crackers or bread, or have a Ziploc bag. Push out the air before you seal it. Another great tip to reduce food waste is to rotate your stock. When you sort your groceries, place older cans of soup or broth, things like that, in the front and put the new stuff in the back. So you use what needs to be used up first. All right, next we're turning to being fiscally safe and sound. And huge thanks to Mama Kate, who is an investment specialist, for providing me a link to a great article to keep us all fiscally safe and sound. The good news is just a few proactive habits can help you safeguard your finances and your identity. The article says monitor your banking and credit accounts regularly. Don't shy away from getting an app on your phone so that you can look at it every couple days. Keeping tabs on your accounts can help you detect any cases of potential fraud as soon as it happens, so you can start to mitigate any damage that could happen. If you bank online regularly, you may be more apt to see something that doesn't look right. And I can attest to that in my own life. I will see like a dime charge from a country I'm not in, and I alert my bank, and it's a scam. You can use your bank's mobile app periodically as well as set up warning notifications to receive a text when a suspicious transaction occurs. If you see something odd, call the bank or creditor right away. Correspond safely with any institutions you work with. So when you need to contact your bank or creditor, it might be better to start with the main hotline on the back of your credit card or your bank statement. You can also initiate a chat or send an email, but just make sure if you Google the company's site by searching for your bank's name, for example, that you choose the correct one, since fraudsters can sometimes create phony pages that look almost like the real one. Another tip is to look for HTTPS at the beginning of the web address. That S signifies that it is secure. There might be other signs like minor misspellings that could indicate you're not on the real site. In addition, most financial institutions have a secure login system, often with two-factor authentication, which is when you must receive a text or an email code in order to complete your login. Take advantage of this added layer of security, because once you're logged in, you can conduct transactions without having to worry about sharing sensitive information over the phone or email. And I just wanted to personally interject. I make it a practice to not click on the links sent to me in an email. Those fake phishing emails are looking more and more like the real thing. So assume what's sent to you in an email is a scheme. Go directly to your financial site online and check messages securely there. The article went on to say, learn how to spot a phone or email scam. So if someone's claiming to be your electric company, your bank, the IRS, or a charity calls or emails you to ask you for a money order or credit card number to clear a debt or make a donation, chances are it's a scam. Other common calls you may get are for guaranteed lower rates or extended warranties on your car, which we are all inundated with, right? It's a meme. In fact, of all the reported fraud among older consumers, phone scams were by far the biggest culprits. There were 190,000 occurrences in 2018 versus 30,000 for email. And online scams combined, according to the FTC. So be mindful of new scams going around by checking out the FTC's scam alert page. Pull your credit reports, they go on to say. Check your 3 credit reports on a regular basis. And a lot of banks have a free credit check that's part of your online app. So take advantage of that, because when you see a weird change or swing in your credit score, you will know right away something's up. Then also mind your mail. Throwing away whole bills or credit offers is an invitation to an ID thief to get your personal information. Shred anything that has account numbers or financial information. Along those lines, try requesting paperless billing and statements to cut out the actual mail that you're receiving. Also, don't leave mail lying around. Check your mailbox. If you travel, put a stop on your mail or have someone you trust pick it up so that your statements and offers aren't ending up in the wrong hands. I found from the FTC, phishing emails and text messages often tell a story to trick you into clicking on a link or opening an attachment. I thought that was so useful because that's become a new thing lately. You might get an unexpected email or text message that looks like it's from a company that you know or trust, like a bank or a credit card or even a utility company. Or maybe it's from an online payment website or app. The message could be from a scammer who might say they've noticed some suspicious activity or login attempts. And the truth is that those haven't happened, the FTC says. They may claim there's a problem with your account or your payment information, and the FTC says there isn't. They may say you need to confirm some personal or financial information, and they say do not do this. They may say include an invoice you don't recognize and assume it's fake, says the FTC. They may say they want you to click on a link to make a payment, but the link has malware. They may say you're eligible to register for a government fund and assume it's a scam. They may offer a coupon for free stuff and know that it's not real. Okay, I'm going to add here because the FTC had a great list, right? but PayPal has been a minefield lately. I have received a slew of fake notices that my PayPal account is going to be invoiced for a certain amount, and it's usually something over $500, $800 on a certain date. And they always provide a phone number in those scammer emails. They look like they came from PayPal. I always forward those messages immediately to spoof@paypal.com. Yeah, that's spoof, SPOOF at paypal.com. And I let them know I do not have an active account on PayPal for this reason, as well as a couple others. Now let's talk about staying out and about and being safe and sound. Okay, so we've survived our morning shower without falling. We didn't choke on breakfast. We checked our email without clicking on any juicy phishing links. And we're out in the great wide world. So don't be afraid. We've got this. Remember, most deaths occur at the home and we're not there anymore. We're safe. Phew. Well, the most impactful tip out of the house is 4 words. Put away your phone. Do not look at the screen. Be present in your surroundings. If you're traveling via plane and are a woman, I recommend you do not write your first name on your baggage tag if it's overtly female sounding. Sharpie your first initial and your last name, as well as your email and cell phone directly onto your luggage. Use that same information on the little paper tag, and do not use your first name really if it sounds, overtly female, like I said at the top. And if you need help at the airport with an oversized bag, you seek out a person to ask for help. Odds are you're not going to pick a serial killer to help you with your golf clubs, but it's the odds of a creeper willing to offer to come to your rescue if he sees you struggling. Well, that's a heck of a lot bigger odds. So choose the person. Don't be chosen. If you're ride sharing to, say, your hotel or VRBO, before getting into the car, confirm your ride matches the app information, both the make and model of the car and the license plate. I also take a photo of the back of the car while the driver is loading in the bag, if only for that to be used as some dramatic footage on ID Network later if I turn up missing. If you're a solo traveler, pretend like you're not. Prior to being dropped off, mention that your partner is there, wondering where you're at, or even give a fake wave to a phantom friend as you near the curb. I always let my husband know when I'm in the rideshare vehicle and when I've arrived via text. Even if he's 2 states away, having someone know my location gives me peace of mind. Okay, now we're going to turn to safe and sound college students. Oh, the thrill of being a college freshman, right? You're on your own for probably the first time in your life. No one's watching the clock and tutting at you when you sleep in. No one expects you to make your bed or eat the right food. No one's guilting you for not showing up on time to class. It's a particularly vulnerable time in the growing up process, I think. That fearless, immortal, free time of life may mean personal safety takes a back seat. But for those of you that are in college or have siblings fresh off to school or kids out there for the first time and are open to hearing it, I've got a super simple refresher. It may feel little kiddish, but you need to tell a roomie where you're going and when you expect to return. Sorry, it's part of adult life. I do the same thing with my husband. Someone needs to know if I go missing. The rest of the bullet points that I'm going to read and share come from UCLA PD. So, street precautions. Be alert to your surroundings and the people around you, especially if you're alone or in the dark. Whenever possible, travel with a friend. Stay in well-lighted areas as much as possible. Walk close to the curb and avoid doorways, bushes, and alleys where someone could hide. Walk confidently at a steady pace. Make eye contact with people when walking. That goes hand in hand with what Gavin DeBecker was saying in his masterclass. It's the opposite of what I thought, but it's true. Make eye contact. It's like this banal instinct of ours in the animal world. You say, I see you. I know you're there. You will not surprise me. And it backs off a lot of people. Do not respond to conversations from strangers on the street. Continue walking. If you carry a purse or bag, carry it securely between your arm and your body. And although a purse snatcher's intent is to steal the purse, your personal safety may depend on you not clinging to it. Do not use or wear anything that will impede your vision or hearing. They say like AirPods, iPods, or headphones. Car safety. They say always lock your car doors after entering or leaving your vehicle. Park in well-lighted areas, even if you have to circle the lot, and even if you're going in during daylight, but you know it'll be somewhat dark when you return to your car. It is worth the extra lap to find the lighted area. Have your car keys in your hand so you don't have to linger before entering your car. Check the interior of your vehicle for intruders before entering your car. If you think you're being followed, drive to a public place or a police or sheriff's station. I did that once. I felt like I was being followed, actually, and I drove to the police station that's down the street, and the person just took off fast. If your car breaks down, open the hood and attach a white cloth to the car antenna. If someone stops to help, stay in your locked car and ask them to call the police, sheriff, or tow truck service. Don't stop to aid motorists by the side of the road. Make a phone call requesting help for them and note where they're at on the road. When you're waiting for a bus, they had some great tips. Be alert to your surroundings and the people around you. That means get your face out of your phone. Try to avoid isolated bus stops. And don't open your purse or wallet while boarding the bus. Have your pass or money already in your hand. They also say keep jewelry out of sight. Don't flash jewelry and turn rings around so the stones don't show. That was an incredible tip. I never knew that until this. And once you're on board a bus, during off hours, ride as near to the bus operator as possible. It's usually better lit up there too. If someone bothers you or makes you feel uncomfortable, change seats. Inform the driver of the situation. Carry your wallet inside your coat or in a front pocket. Keep your belongings in front of you and hold them close to your body with both hands. Be alert to pickpocketers or on crowded buses, and check your purse or wallet if someone's jostling or crowding or pushing. They go into a few tips about office security. Never leave your purse or wallet in plain view or in common accessible areas. Don't leave cash or valuables at the office. If you work alone or after business hours, keep the office door locked. If you work late, try to find another worker or a security guard to walk out with you. In an elevator, be mindful that there is a distress alarm on the control panel. I always forget about that. I kind of ignore the other buttons, but that was a good tip. They also say be alert to pickpocketers on crowded elevators. Report all suspicious people and activities to the proper authorities, like an office manager or building security. And be aware of escape routes for emergencies and post the police and fire department numbers near telephones. So they also encourage us that if a crime does occur, be sure to report it. Everyone should consider it his or her responsibility to report crime. Many criminals develop favorite areas for committing crimes, as well as predictable methods of operation. When you report all the facts about a crime, even if it seems like the smallest detail, it helps the police assign officers in the places where crimes are occurring or where they're most likely to occur, and your report may help prevent a crime from recurring. Turning to the woods for a moment, I added some simple safety precautions to some of my Cascadia episodes recently, but venturing into nature is fantastic. But like UCLA PD told college students, tell someone where you're going and when you expect to return home. Keep a charged phone on you. And if you're going deep into the wild, consider a Garmin or a satellite phone type device so you can signal for help if you twist an ankle or something like that. Bring water and some food, some snacks, a light source, like a flashlight. Don't just rely on your phone's flashlight for that. And a basic first aid kit. Have a backpack with all of those basics pre-packed and ready for any hike so you don't rush out the door without your essentials. And I've linked to a day hike essentials list from REI in the show notes. They note that a 2-hour hike has a different set of requirements than a 12-hour adventure, and they break up the two. But they do say there's 10 common things to bring on all outings. Hiking pack, weather appropriate clothing, and they think they're saying moisture wicking layers. They say hiking footwear, plenty of food, plenty of water, navigation tools such as a map and compass, first aid kit, and a knife or multi-tool, and the rest of the 10 essentials as appropriate for the length of your hike. And you'll find those in the show notes. You can even print them off and just have your pack ready for the next outing you have. They mention printing out the hike you are going on 2 times, like 2 copies of it. Keep 1 copy with you and then tuck the other one in the driver's seat of your car. Then if you go missing for any reason, they will know exactly where to pick up the trail. We were notified that a neighbor a few blocks over had a truck stolen last night. We were just notified. And I'm realizing that being notified of every crime or lost animal in my town can bring me some instant anxiety. For sanity's sake, mute the notices sometimes. And then when or if you choose to, read them later. If they don't spur you to take necessary action, then mute them for a bit here and there for your own mental health. And I just have to ask, what's the line between being informed and obsessed? And maybe what that line is overall health and well-being. We shouldn't cross that line. In that vein, don't forget to enlist your angels, guides, and ancestors. So when you've done what you can to increase the safety of yourself and your loved ones, but still feel vulnerable, don't forget you have an army, your own personal spiritual security team at your beck and call. Yeah, be sure to enlist your spiritual army, those angels, guides, and ancestors, to increase your safety as well as to restore your peace of mind. At the top, I shared with you what occurred at my place last night. So checking in with our neighbors, bolting locks, turning on outside lights, all those were good steps to re-securing our house. I felt like the little boy in Home Alone, actually, because there was even an area where they were congregating and it looked like they were planning to come over that little concrete wall. So I took Cooper's poop and I put it there so they would come over the wall and that's what they'd fall in. Like that would stop them. But anyway, I guess I have some inner Macaulay Culkin in me. But going on from that, what gave me at the end of the night the most comfort was the spiritual piece. As I was brushing my teeth, I asked my angels and guides to keep us safe and sound. In the morning, I gave thanks for them, for taking that burden from me and allowing me to have a good night's rest. As I meditated in the morning in the sun while Cooper was playing in the yard and I was cleaning up his poop that I'd put there, I pictured a giant soccer ball of protection above, around, and below our home. The inner layer was gold. The middle layer was this pearly white, and on the outer layer was a mirror. And that mirror caused anyone to have their intentions bounce back on them. So if they passed by and smiled at a little gnome figure by the mailbox, they would see some charming aspect of themselves reflected back in the mirror. If they looked at the house and sought opportunity to harm or hurt or take, they'd see it in themselves. You get the idea. It felt like what I do personally to deflect negative energy. I wear this flat shungite disc that sends energy back to source. I've been taking this online course recently on remote viewing. The class is on YouTube and it's offered free. And though the content is 7 years old, it's still good stuff. But what relates to our conversation today is the lesson that one instructor spoke in passing, but felt highlighted by my soul. Our subconscious, number one, knows everything. And number two, never lies to us. I was astounded as I sat behind my computer and I was participating in this 7-year ago exercise to learn to remote view. So after writing down what's called the target number, the instructor tells us to write a primal shape. And I think it's called a gestalt figure. And as my conscious mind said, I'll never be able to do this, my hand on its own did this upside down curlicue. A minute later, the videographer circled the room and, filmed over the shoulder of every student. And on every student's paper, there was a curlicue. Mine was created the opposite of how I normally write it, which was interesting, but we had all known something in the subconscious level, enough to know the target was a sentient being, which is what a curlicue means in this Gestalt code they teach you. But mine, 7 years later, was drawn upside down, which means the sentient target is inactive or dead, which I thought was really strange, right? The confirmations continued as we dove into a second target. We all knew the target, various aspects highlighted here and there, and it was our conscious minds that tried to write down stories about the information or clutter the pure information. Intuition told us it was a mountain, and it was a hot mountain/volcano. So the subconscious is friggin' powerful. Remember at the top when I mentioned Gavin DeBecker, the security expert? He commented that Western culture dismisses intuition, and it should not. We need to work the intuitive muscles until those thoughts or knowings are just as strong as our egoic or conscious ones. In that spirit, when something feels off, stop. Feel deeper into that moment. Let your brain catch up with what your subconscious picked up. It picks up everything all at once and is lovingly guiding you to safety, all before your brain has pulled up its metaphorical pants. Use those same tools to make your dorm room, your apartment, your car, your home, your farm safe. Your subconscious will never steer you wrong. It will tell you the steps to take, and then, like a miracle, you'll stumble onto the perfect resource to take the necessary next step forward. Phew, we survived. 45 minutes together, safe and sound. Understanding risks, limiting vulnerabilities, learning about safety procedures and practices should build confidence, alleviate anxiety, and reduce stress, actually. If you feel tense from this conversation, stream some music. Make a safe and sound playlist. How about starting with Men Without Hats Safety Dance or Safe and Sound by Capital Cities? I linked to the Ranker Top 10 list of safety-themed songs in the show notes if you need that. Check it out and shake that booty till you don't feel worried. Thanks for listening to Curious Cat. Be sure to enjoy our growing catalog of shows. And if you've got a topic we haven't covered yet, but you want us to, please email the show at curious_cat_podcast@icloud.com. Until next time, stay curious. I love you.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you looking for a new podcast that appeals to your scientific curiosity, but is also a little bit spooky?
Show me how I died in a past life.
Well, look no further, because this cat is where it's at.
He had concerns about the ethics surrounding AI, feeling they had achieved consciousness.
Curious Cat Podcast examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. Listen every week with your host, Jennifer Holtz, as she and her guests explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit.
We were healing karma together. They were all kind of predestined to resolve something.
Listen on all your favorite streaming apps and continue the conversation on Twitter at CuriousCatPodCA, or find Jennifer and all her links at Jennifer L. Holtz, spelled HOTES.com.